What up, YouTube? Welcome to the channel. Back with another video. Listen, guys, don't take your job for granted. If you're working a job, you're earning an income, you're able to take care of your financial obligations because of that job, and you're able to live the lifestyle that you live, you can't take that for granted. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people out there who can't say the same thing. While you may not have the job that you want, you may not be making the type of money that you want to make, just understand that this is just a part of your journey. Where you're at currently is just the season that you're in at this moment. It doesn't dictate or define where your life is going to end up a year from now, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. But appreciate where you are right now. That job that you have is a blessing. Listen, I know a lot of people have heard the phrase, you don't know what you have until it's gone. See, the problem with us as human beings, oftentimes we don't appreciate the value that certain things have to us until we don't have it anymore. That can be a job loss, or that can be people, right? Friends, family members, loved ones. Sometimes we make the mistake of not realizing the importance of those things while we have them. Don't take it for granted. Don't do some of the things that could potentially jeopardize your employment. And there's a number of different things that I can talk about, and I can really go in depth with the things that can jeopardize your employment. But I'm pretty sure most of us, if you've been in the workforce long enough, you know some of the things that can get you terminated from your job. I don't have to talk about it. Just don't do the things that can get you terminated. I don't think that's easier said than done. Come to work when you're supposed to come to work. You can't be calling in all the time. You can't cut corners on certain things that could potentially get you terminated. Yeah, you may get away with some things from time to time. And the problem is sometimes employees get away with certain things for a period of time and they get comfortable and they start just doing these things over and over and over until one day your luck runs out and you get caught doing that thing that you know or you knew all along that if you were to get caught, you probably would get terminated. So a lot of times we know the errors in our judgment that can land us in those type of situations, but it's not until we actually get caught to where we think about how dumb it was to continue to do those things. And so this video is a reminder to each and every one of you guys out there that are fortunate enough to have a job to appreciate your job. Particularly if your job is allowing you to live the lifestyle that you're able to live. Is allowing you to be able to earn an income so that you can save more, so that you can invest more, so that you can pay off debt, so that you can afford that car that you drive, so you can afford that house that you live in, so you can afford that rent that you pay. If you rely on your job to take care of some of the things I just mentioned, you can't take that for granted. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't go out here and find another job. That doesn't mean that you can't leave your job altogether and become an entrepreneur. You can absolutely do those things. But the point that I'm making is, while you have that job, take it serious. And don't take it for granted. Don't jeopardize your employment, your salary, for things that aren't worth it. I'm going to tell you guys a story. Some of you guys probably just tuning in to my channel for the first time. Some of you been rocking with me for a little while. You probably have heard this story before. I think it's probably only one time where I've told it, but I used to work for a company, Krispy Kreme Donuts, for 15 years, and I got laid off back in 2018. The last 5 years of my employment with that company, I was in management, and I was managing route drivers, so I had about 12 route drivers on the staff, and there was 2 instances where I had to terminate a driver. That was one situation where I had to terminate a driver because the driver stole a lighter from a convenience store that he was making a delivery to. I remember it like it was yesterday. I got in to work that morning, do what I always do, which is check my emails. And I read an email from my district manager forwarding me an email from the manager of the convenience store where my driver was making a delivery to. So my manager at the time, my district manager, he asked me in the email, Anthony, are you aware of this situation? Please investigate it and follow up with me. So that's exactly what I did. I reached out to that store manager at that particular customer. And like the store manager mentioned in the email, the store manager said, look, your driver came into the store and stole a lighter, and we have it on video. I don't want this driver in my store anymore, right? That's what this person wrote in the email. So I go over to the store, meet with the store manager. Store manager walks me to the back room, shows me the video. Clear as day, my driver stole a lighter. When the cashier turned her back, they had the lighters on the front right there on the counter. He put it in his pocket and went on about his day after, whatever he bought from the store got rang up, right? So the crazy part about this particular situation is that driver happened to be one of my best drivers. He had a really good attitude. He was a hard worker. He went above and beyond when I asked him to do certain things. It could have been helping another driver out. He didn't have no problem doing any of that. He just had a really good attitude. So for me, this was a surprise that he actually did what he did. But the reality is, we don't always know people. Let me just say that. Things aren't always what they seem. And everybody has some errors in their judgment in life. That's just what it is. None of us perfect. But this was a complete surprise to me when I seen him commit this act, right? So I knew he was going to be the first driver back that morning. So I'm just waiting around on him to come back in. Finally, he makes it back in. And it was one of the most uncomfortable conversations for me to have with this individual. Just, again, because of the employee that he was. And I knew, I was going to have to terminate him. So he comes into the office, and I had this conversation with him. And I obviously, I didn't mention the store that he did, what he did. I didn't put that out there. But he knew what he did, right? I said, look, I went over and talked to a customer about a situation that happened this morning with you. And I just went into detail and talked about how the customer have you on surveillance stealing a lighter. He owned up to it. I mean, at the end of the day, when somebody got you on camera, it's kind of hard to dispute that. He didn't deny it. He owned up to it. He said, I did it. I'm sorry, man. And pretty much from there, I told him what I had to do. And he understood it. But this person was married, had kids. That's a tough conversation to have with your partner. He probably didn't tell her the reason why he really got terminated. He probably could have made up something. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. I mean, I would feel ashamed if I stole a lighter and, that was the reason for my termination. That was a situation that wasn't worth this person losing their job behind. Another situation I had where I had to terminate a driver for stealing a cold sandwich out of a convenience store. It was, again, another customer that this driver was making a delivery to. The cashier went in the back somewhere, and again, they had him on camera. See it clear as day. Driver go to his truck, come back inside the store, walking around, and he grabs a sandwich and walks right back out the store with it. Had to terminate him. But I said all that to say this. These are just two situations where stealing those items wasn't worth them losing their job. But in that moment, those guys wasn't thinking about their job. Because if they were, they wouldn't have done what they did. So sometimes if you guys are in certain situations and you're just trying to think whether or not, this is a smart thing to do, if you really just sit back and consider the consequences, man, is this worth it? Is this worth me losing my job? 10 times out of 10, it's not going to be worth it. The same thing happens in food service. I've seen a driver in food service do some things at a customer location that caused him to lose his job. And I won't go into detail with it. But what this person did wasn't worth them losing their jobs. And that's the thing about food service in particular. We deliver to a lot of customers sometimes where the customer isn't present. So we have access to the building. Our job is to go inside, make our delivery, lock up, and leave. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Now, some of these establishments we deliver to have surveillance. Some of them don't. But none of that should matter. It shouldn't matter whether or not you have some eyes on you. You should take care of business as if somebody was watching you the whole time. And these customers trust us to go in and do the job that we're supposed to be doing. So listen, if you in the food service business or beverage or any other business that you're doing, hopefully you have a good moral compass and you have integrity and you do things the way they should be done so you don't have to suffer the consequences of potentially losing your job. It's not worth it at the end of the day. There was another situation as a manager. When I was managing at Krispy Kreme, we had what's called a P card. A P card, also known as a purchasing card, was a corporate credit card that we could utilize to purchase goods and or services for the business. So I would purchase all sorts of different things for my shop. Pens, copy paper, food for our safety meetings. If we went on to a restaurant, I would reserve a section to have our meetings and pay for everybody's lunch at the restaurant. Just a lot of different things, a variety of different things I used to purchase with my corporate card. it was all business related. I think the most expensive thing that I purchased was a garage door for our warehouse. So we parked all of our trucks inside of a big warehouse, and we had this roll up garage door. And we used to have to roll it up manually. You used to have a chain, just pull the chain and the door raise up. Well, over time, that door had to get replaced. Some of it was normal wear and tear, and then some of it was just drivers not paying attention. It was a combination of both. Had a couple drivers hit the door, not paying attention, didn't raise the door up all the way, try to go out, hit the door, damage the door. So over time, just had to get it replaced. Well, had a few people come out to give me some quotes on replacing the door. Finally went with a company that gave me the better rate. And this time I went with an electric door. So you just press a button and the door raised up. That cost me a few $1,000s, or cost the company, I should say. But that was probably the most expensive thing I put on a corporate credit card. Well, I said all that to say this. Every week or so, we used to have to do an expense report. So every purchase that I made with my corporate card, I used to have to send that documentation off to accounts payable. So every Monday morning, after I done payroll, completed that, I would go ahead and do my expense report. I would scan my invoices and receipts and send it over to accounts payable, right? You got to keep documentation, got to send that in. Obviously, anytime you use a credit card, all the charges are going to be on your statement. So I had some colleagues that chose to use the corporate credit card for personal use. I don't know why, but that was obviously an error in judgment. Bad decision. So you had some people in management that got terminated for using the corporate credit card for personal use. You had some managers buying big screen TVs. You had managers putting gas in their car using the corporate credit card. You had managers going on vacation and putting the hotel rooms on their credit card. You had all sorts of charges on there that wasn't business related. It was for personal use. And these managers got terminated. If you're somebody who's in management and you have a corporate credit card, please don't do anything stupid like that. Again, companies expect you to use that card wisely, to use that card within the company policy. If you go outside of that, then there are repercussions. It just is what it is. So again, guys, I just wanted to share some of these stories with you as a reminder to don't take your job for granted. I don't care if you're in management. I don't care if you just, regular employee, whatever job that you have out there. If that job is adding value to your life, don't take it for granted. Your job is to do a task and get paid for it. Do that and go home. That doesn't mean you have to work a job for the rest of your life. But while you are working that job, be smart about your decision making. Listen, man, that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate y'all for tapping in. Do me a favor, if you like this video, like the video by hitting that thumbs up for me. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing if you enjoy the content. Until the next one, I'll catch you guys later, man. Have a good weekend. Peace.